What's love? No matter who you are, no matter what your religion, politics, or personal beliefs, we all want to be loved. What exactly is love? Is it the twinkle in a woman's eye? Is it the wry smile of a dashing fella? Let's ask some of my favorite YouTubers this very question. What is love? Well, we all know it's Claude, but let's ask them anyways.
Hey friends, it's Brandon from Just the Gems. Thanks Jay for having me on to talk about love stories in JRPGs. Now, so as not to bury the lead, I picked Squall and Rinoa from Final Fantasy VIII. I know there's a lot of, shall we say, mixed feelings about FF8 out there, but one aspect that I feel like it handles really well is its love story. I didn't always feel that way though. In fact, when I played it as a kid, I thought it was dumb and trite and stupid. Why did Rinoa fall for Squall when he's the closed-off jerk? Why did Squall constantly behave like an obnoxious brat? When I replayed the game as an adult, with a whole lot of perspective and life experience behind me, I realized the answer to those questions. Because the characters are stupid kids. That's right, Squall and Rinoa and Zell and Selphie, they're all goofy teenagers. They don't have much in the way of life experience under their belts. They pretty much just know how to fight. That's not super helpful when it comes to creating strong interpersonal relationships. This realization recontextualized everything about the story, including the romance. Squall is closed off and rude because he hasn't learned how to behave yet, because he has no one to model that behavior for him. Rinoa doesn't see Squall's red flags because she hasn't grown enough to recognize them as red flags. With that in mind, what we have is actually an incredibly sweet and innocent romance. These are two kids who at first glance have very little in common, but they still connect in really profound ways because there are things about each other that round out their own weaknesses. Squall learns to open up and experience more of the world because of Rinoa's influence, and Rinoa learns to slow down and focus on stability, which is great given that she's kinda all over the place in the beginning. Now, do I think their relationship has a realistic chance of lasting into their 20s and beyond? No, probably not. But some relationships aren't meant to last forever. Some people are in our lives for a specific period of time, and we're able to learn and grow through those relationships because of who those people are. I think that sums up Squall and Rinoa pretty well, and that's why it sticks out to me as a beautiful and realistic romance.
Yo, YouTube, what is good, bruv? Going what is good, and we are back with another collaboration video. Man, it feels so good to be saying that after so long. Big thank you and much love to my man Jay from Cold Nights Gaming for having me be part of this amazing collaboration. So let's get straight into the topic, man. So love and JRPGs, the greatest love stories. So when I think about romances in JRPGs, I was funny enough, me and Jay were actually talking beforehand in the Discord when he hit me up about the idea for this collaboration video, and I was kind of just thinking to myself, what couple would I pick? Then it kind of just hit me, and I asked Jay immediately, would I be able to pick this? So my pick is actually going to be a choice that you actually get to make as the player when you play Persona 5. Now, in Persona games, of course, you know you have social links, and of course you know that you eventually do end up with a love interest, but that love interest is kind of it's up to you, the player, who you pick for Joker to have. Now, I always thought in my head, well, when I first played the game, I kind of just thought on my own terms. So the person who I actually picked for my first choice when I first ever played Persona 5 was actually Kawakami. Anyway, we'll let that one slide. Anyway, the choice that I actually made for Joker, who I actually thought of when I played Persona 5 Strikers, and then when I eventually went back and played Persona 5, was actually Makoto Nijima. Now, I think Makoto suits Joker so well. She bounces off of him so well in their interactions that they have throughout the game, and I really thought that she was the perfect love interest for Joker. She's strong, she's hard-willed, she's very, very beautiful as well, and she actually complements Joker so much. Joker's a very reserved type of character, and I feel like Makoto just brings out the best in him all the time whenever I see their interactions throughout the game. Now, I know we only have a short window to talk about our favorite JRPG romances, but nonetheless, I want to say a massive thank you and big shout out to Jay from Cold Nights Gaming for having me be part of this amazing collaboration video. If you guys want to check me out, the big bruv, all over on socials. Thank you so much, Jay, for having me part of this, and I will see you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.
Hi everyone. everyone, it's Mandy from Mandy Lee Plays, and thank you, Jay, for having me on for this collab. I really do appreciate it. Now, JRPGs are known for their love stories, sometimes cringy, but sometimes cute. But if I had to choose a couple that wasn't cheesy, it would be Shulk and Fiora from Xenoblade Chronicles. Shulk and Fiora exemplify one of the genre's most heartfelt, well-developed relationships. Their romance is not just a subplot, it is woven into the very core of the game's themes, character arcs, and emotional impact. Their connection transcends mere affection, becoming a powerful symbol of resilience, hope, and unwavering devotion. Unlike many JRPG romances that rely on love at first sight or some contrived circumstance, Shulk and Fiora's relationship is built on years of close friendship. As childhood friends, they share a deep bond that feels natural and authentic, and while we don't get a lot of scenes in the beginning of their dynamic, from what we've seen, they're really understanding of each other and they respect each other. Fiora supports Shulk's research and playfully teases him, which, cute, and always making sure that he is okay and fed. Which sounds like a pet, honestly, but you know what I mean. And Shulk, while often lost in his studies of the Monado and things like that, he still clearly values Fiora and her presence. And this organic foundation make their relationship feel more grounded. Sadly though, through unfortunate events, Fiora does kind of die, but it's the main motivation to get Shulk to go on his adventure, and they do eventually reunite. So while Xenoblade Chronicles is not a romance by any sense of the mean, I feel like Shulk and Fiora were handled really good. Their love is integral to the story's resolution, symbolizing the power of human connection. So yeah, that is my long-winded spiel of why Shulk and Fiora are so cute together, and why they're my favorite JRPG couple. Once again, thank you for having me on, Jay. I really do appreciate it. I create JRPG content and sometimes Nintendo content, so if you're into that, then please stop by and say hi.
Hey guys, Nish Quick here, and thank you so much, Jay, for having me on this collab to talk about our favorite couples and our favorite romances in JRPGs. And mine's going to be a little basic, but it's going to be from a game that I recently played last year, and that is Final Fantasy IX. There are two prominent couples in Final Fantasy IX, but the one I'm going to talk about is the main iconic couple, and that is Zidane Tribal and Garnet till Alexandros. So what I really like about this couple is it plays on one of my favorite tropes in romance. It's like the street rat archetype meets the royal princess. You see this in stories like Aladdin as well. This guy who's just living on the street, dirt poor, but he has a heart of gold. And then he meets this princess. He shows her a completely new world that she's so unfamiliar with. And you see that in Final Fantasy IX. Zidane opens up Garnet to so many new places and new things that she had no idea even existed. And what I really truly love about these two characters is they always have each other's backs during this very turbulent time in their lives. Zidane is sort of having an identity crisis. He doesn't know where he belongs, where his true home is. And Garnet is going through a lot of stuff herself with problems relating to her family, and she learns so much about where she comes from later in the middle of the game, and just her responsibility as princess to the throne of the Kingdom of Alexandria. And these characters, throughout a lot of their struggles and their turmoils, they're always there for each other, and the romance just grows and blossoms and develops throughout the story. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but the ending and how their romance kind of ends up in the very end of the game is very wholesome, and it's just very great to see, and it's a very hopeful romantic tale in Final Fantasy IX. And Garnet slash Dagger and Zidane is a romance and a couple that really stood out to me in the Final Fantasy series and in JRPGs in general. So yeah, thank you so much, Jay, for having me on this collab. If you guys enjoy Nintendo and JRPG content, hit up my channel, Nish Quick Pops. I hope to see you guys there, and happy Valentine's Day. I'll see you guys in the next one later.
Hi, I'm Miller over from Miller's Game Room. Thank you, Jay, for inviting me onto his channel again to talk about JRPG couples. I picked the main protagonists from a forgotten JRPG I played for the first time in 2024, Tears to Tiara 2, Heir of the Overlord for the PlayStation 3. Developed by Aquaplus, a company known for their incredible romance visual novels, Tears to Tiara 2 is a standalone strategy RPG in that series. It features an all-new cast in a different part of the Tears universe, which is basically historical Europe. Hamil, the last heir to the Kingdom of Hispania, must lead a rebellion against a cruel divine empire. One day, Hamil meets Tarte, the goddess of war, who comes down to Earth from the spirit world to help Hamil lead his rebellion. Hamil and Tarte's dynamic forms the crux of Tears 2's story, as their dynamic changes from goddess and follower to friends and lovers. Their actions drive the game's overall story alongside their relationships with other characters, and this is why I love their dynamics so much. Many of Tears 2's most emotionally devastating scenes involve Hamil and Tarte, as their relationship faces many challenges, and I absolutely loved seeing their dynamics strengthen and evolve throughout this 50+ hour adventure. Given how niche Tears 2 Tiara 2 is, most people watching this video have may not even heard of this game, yet alone played it and spent all this time experiencing the story. Therefore, I'm talking about it here. Outside of the romance, I also like their personalities in general. Hamil and Tarte are polar opposites. While Hamil is more serious and cunning than Tarte, Tarte is more cautious and optimistic than Hamil. However, both are kind and compassionate towards those around them, hence why they manage to build up a loyal army with their strong leadership skills. Plus, they're also very overpowered on the battlefield. Anyway, that's my pick for a JRPG couple. I highly recommend checking out Tears 2, and thank you Jay for inviting me back onto his channel again. Thank you for watching, and looking forward to seeing everyone else's picks. See you later.
Hey, it's Fox from Inferno Fox Gaming. Huge thanks to Jay from Cold Knights Gaming for inviting me onto this collab. It's a story as old as time itself. Okay, well, maybe just over 30 years, but it feels like it's been a long time. One of the greatest JRPG love stories is that between Cecil and Rosa from Final Fantasy IV. We are introduced to Rosa within minutes of the game itself, not only briefly within Baron Castle, but in what is one of the best cinematic scenes within the series itself, as she visits Cecil in his room. Within this scene, not only do we bear witness to the love that Rosa has for Cecil by the words she speaks, but her theme itself, literally called Theme of Love, is played in the background. This theme plays as the story itself continues. The lead melody beautifully intonates via violin, flute, or oboe as we see Cecil find Rosa with desert fever. Seeing her stricken due to her going after Cecil when he left Baron motivates him to find the desert light or ruby to cure her affliction. We hear the harmonic support via string and harp sections, providing a flowing background as we watch Cecil reunite and even embrace Rosa at the Tower of Zot. The music lifts us up to its peak as Rosa defies Cecil's order to leave the party when they depart to have a final fight against Zeromus. And this theme is given a large and well-earned dramatic license at the end when Cecil receives his final goodbye from his brother on the day of his wedding to Rosa and coronation as King Baron. The Theme of Love is truly the greatest guide to one of my favorite love stories in JRPGs. Beyond the original release, future iterations of Final Fantasy IV have shown both flashbacks to Cecil and Rosa as children, to even 17 years in the future with a teenage son, in the very same military force Cecil himself was when he was young. But this, and no amount of meddling from Cecil's best friend and greatest rival, can take away what I believe to be true love. Once again, big thanks to Jay for inviting me on this collab. You can catch my video game content here on YouTube at Inferno Fox Gaming.
Hi everyone, Miss Mandia here. Now, I apologize if I'm about to bring the mood down, but the love story that I have to share with you today is one of the more tragic ones. Now, Grandia 2 is no stranger to romance. Whether you're Team Alina or Team Millennia, the game is scattered with tender cutscenes and moments to make your heart skip. But I'm here to talk about a sadder tale, and that is the story of Melfice and Reena. If you've played Grandia 2, you'll know Melfice as one of the major villains of the story, as well as the older brother of our protagonist, Ryudo. But before Melfice succumbed to the possession of Valmar, he was once a well-respected swordsman who led a normal, seemingly happy life. Melfice and Ryudo grew up together in a place called Garland Village. After their parents died, they were taken in by the village chief, and as they got older, Melfice became the most skilled swordsman in the town. Once he turned 20, he became engaged to the chief's daughter, a beautiful and kind-hearted woman named Reena. There's so little we know about this time in his life, but based on the glimpses we see in Ryudo's memory, Melfice and Reena seemed truly happy. But unfortunately, that all came to an end on one terrible night. On this night, Reena was sent to investigate these strange rumblings that were coming from a cave that housed the village's sacred idol. When she didn't return, Melfice was sent to find her, and he discovered that she had been possessed by the horns of Valmar. At that point, there was nothing that could be done to save her, and as tragic as it is, the only way to free her from this curse was to take her life. So that's what he did, and in doing so, Melfice himself became possessed and turned into the soulless demon man that players are familiar with. Something I've always found really interesting about this sequence of events that I think a lot of the villagers and even players overlook is that when Melfice killed Reena, he wasn't under the influence of the horns yet. He did that as himself, and I just think that must have been such a difficult moment for him, to face the love of his life who had been claimed by darkness, knowing there was nothing he could do to save her. It's impossible to know what was going through his mind in that moment, but the reality is that Melfice did the only thing he could have done to free her from the curse of the horns. In a really tragic and kind of messed up way, he saved Reena from becoming a monster by becoming the monster himself. I always found it an interesting fact that even though Melfice's actions caused Reena to lose her life, she never lost her humanity in the eyes of the village. I often wonder if, had Melfice never removed the horns and taken them in himself, would Reena have suffered the same horrific fate as him? In an interview with one of the scenario writers, Hidenobu Takahashi states that Melfice lived with a relentless pain in his heart from having lost the woman he loved, and his death served not only as a freedom from his possession, but also from the remorse and heartache that came from losing Reena. I really think that, given the chance, Melfice and Reena's story could have been a beautiful one, and the fact that both of their lives were cut short by the hands of Valmar is, in my opinion, one of the greatest tragedies in RPGs. I like to think that in another world, Melfice and Reena were able to get married and grow old together, watching over Garland Village. But there is at least some solace in the fact that, in the end, the village was able to heal from its trauma, and Melfice and Reena were able to rest together peacefully and watch over them from another place.
Hey folks, it's your host Jay from Cold Nights. I've always been a sucker for tragic love stories. Some end tragically, but some also begin tragically. I find love where one or both partners give up something of great personal value to them to pursue their true happiness with the one they love. I can find no better example of this than Fran and Balthier from Final Fantasy XII. How does a Viera end up with a judge turned sky pirate? By giving up her customs and family for love. The Viera have a strict society, where not only are the males and females kept separated, but humans are forbidden from being on their lands or a part of their society. Though the game never explicitly goes into why Fran left the wood 50 years ago, Balthier is certainly a big part of why she hasn't returned. Their whole relationship gives me a Bonnie and Clyde feeling, but one that is oddly wholesome. Many gamers derided Fran as being eye candy for the male gaze of the fanbase, but her devotion to both the cause and to Balthier himself proves every ounce of that doubt wrong. The scene at the end of the game where the straw is mysteriously stolen and Vaughn finds a note from Balthier himself proves that these two will continue their story of love and thievery long after the credits roll.
Hey, it's Emily from Orbitology, and one of my favorite canon pairings in a JRPG has to be Alm and Celica from Fire Emblem Echoes: Shadows of Valentia. When it comes to romantic tropes, I really love the friends to lovers trope, and it's done really well here where Alm and Celica meet as children, and they have no idea politically who they are or their background or anything like that, but they generally have a really solid bond as children growing up together. But they find themselves being separated with the promise of meeting each other sometime again. One of the special things about Alm and Celica's bond is not only how sweet they were when they were together, especially as children, but when they eventually meet up together as adults, they also hold their ground when it comes to their own values and their own ways to seek personal growth, which I thought was a very healthy way to kind of enter some sort of romantic relationship. And even though they may have had differences in how to approach some very difficult challenges that were ahead of them on their journey, they were still able to communicate with each other and find some sort of compromise in the Echoes remake. So having watched them go on their separate journeys throughout Fire Emblem Echoes, it was really rewarding to see them come together and have their happily ever after. And it's also been very cool to see them still together in the various spin-offs like Super Smash Bros., Fire Emblem Heroes, and Fire Emblem Engage, to name a few.
Hello everyone, my name is Fedro from Cozy Veggie here on YouTube, and I just want to thank Jay for allowing me to be part of this amazing and lovely collaboration. So when I think of romance, especially in JRPGs, one of the more recent couples that sticks to me and has a special place in my heart is none other than Clive and Jill from Final Fantasy XVI. Jill and Clive's romance in Final Fantasy XVI is a tender and enduring love story, rooted in childhood friendship and strengthened by shared hardship. Separated by fate and reunited through war and tragedy, their bond remains unshaken, growing into a deep and passionate connection. Jill's quiet strength and unwavering support complements Clive's relentless determination, offering him solace in his darkest moments. Despite the brutal world around them, their love serves as a rare beacon of warmth and hope, proving that even amidst chaos, some hearts are destined to find their way back to each other. Whenever I saw them on the screen, I was always 100% rooting for them because throughout the story and throughout the game, the tension between them was palpable. And so when they finally got together at the end, it was honestly a cherry on top. And honestly, I'm a sucker for childhood lover trope, and this one did it justice. If you're looking for a really sweet subplot of romance in a JRPG, look no further than Jill and Clive in Final Fantasy XVI. Again, I want to thank Jay so much for allowing me to be part of this collaboration, and I can't wait to see the other couples in this video.
Hello YouTube, big up to my man Cold Knights Gaming, Miyazaki Man Sai here. Thank you so much for inviting me to this collaboration. Valentine's a special place in my heart. For my pick, I'm going to choose Frederica and Serenoa from one of my favorite strategy games of all time, Triangle Strategy. Now for those of you that haven't played it already, absolute masterpiece. Suikoden Tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics, Vandal Hearts, one of my personal favorites of all time. Triangle Strategy is right up there, and these two, wow, they bounce off each other incredibly well. And looky, they get on so well that Gila even suggests, why don't you give him a tonic to boost his vitality? They're not even subtle about it. And what promiscuous thoughts has she got in mind? Which one of these would Serenoa enjoy? Yes, our Lord Serenoa is a man of justice, integrity, and good intentions. He always stands in front of Frederica. Frederica belongs to the Roselle tribe, right? And they have been abused and taken for granted and mistreated for generations. And Serenoa, through his love for Frederica, goes about undoing all the injustices, undoing the corruption in the state, to give her the greatest gift of all, to help her to try to free her people. Now there's different paths that you can take, including a golden path, but what you can see out through the whole game is his genuine affection and care for her mental state, and her deep affection for helping him to stick to his convictions and to do the right thing as well. Though sometimes their paths may stray, when time comes in need, they always get together and get through it together. The strength in numbers, and through their conviction, loyalty, and love, is a story in a wartime where the bonds that hold them together help them overcome all the adversity and corruption in the domain. And that is why Frederica and Serenoa are my RPG Valentine's pick for you, my friends. Hope you enjoyed that review. Thank you so much for Cold Knights Gaming for inviting me on again. Make sure to like, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my channel, The Miyazaki Man, and I'll catch you next time.
Well, that just about wraps up our list of the greatest love stories in gaming. I want to thank all of these wonderful creators. They're all great friends and truly wonderful people, and I hope all of you will take the time to subscribe to their wonderful channels. Thanks again for joining us, and remember to keep love alive, and as always, stay creepy.